Hi, my name is Daniel, and for this assignment, I interviewed a professional worker in sort of in the field of psychology. What I really wanted to do was interview somebody that worked with addiction, um, but also did it in with a Christian mindset, and it really was important to me, and I was able to help gain insight in with that sort of uh, slant, if you will. The person I interviewed was Andrew. Well, his name's Andy, who serves as a youth pastor in a church, and but he also provides with that church. He provides the counseling and support for individuals dealing with addiction, primarily drugs and alcohol, but also other addictions, and we'll kind of go into that in just a minute. But he was, so in addition to being youth, also addiction and recovery as well. So during the interview, I asked several questions about his job duties, what he finds fulfilling, what he finds challenging in the field, how he continues to grow, any advice he'd give his students. Even me as a little older in life that's trying to get into that field as well. And the interview provided valuable insight for me, who's looking into getting into that specific position, maybe not as the youth pastor specifically, but definitely in counseling and therapy, that type of coaching, that type of environment. So definitely being able to see him do it with a ministry standpoint, the counseling, kind of tying it all together with the support that he provided for the people, not only the church but the community that are struggling with addiction. So as I was saying, the person I interviewed, his name was Andrew, or Andy, goes by Andy, who works as a youth pastor, provides support and counseling for individuals that are dealing with addiction. And again, like I said, primarily substance abuse would be most of it, his roles. But his roles in the church is mentoring young people, leading youth programs, helping individuals. In addition to that, helping individuals who are struggling with addiction. But the addiction, and we'll go into in just a minute, can cover a variety of things as well. So his work kind of combines elements of the pastoral ministry, counseling, mentorship. So through the role, he works with both teenagers, adults that are experiencing a lot of different challenges that aren't just addiction. For me, I was focused. I was more interested in the addiction side of it, but I also got to look at how that also helped, how the other things that he did with the ministry with the youth and things like that also helped kind of roll it into the addiction side of it as well. But also spiritual struggles that he faced as well. So his goal is to help guide people towards healthier decisions that they're making through all lines of it, whether it be with the teens or people that are struggling with addictions. Now, Andy's explained his main job responsibilities involved a couple of different areas. He primarily was the ministry of the youth, but then he also focused on counseling as well. So one of his primary roles was leading the youth services, youth activities for teenagers within the church. This includes teaching, organizing youth events, mentoring youth people, helping them grow spiritually, emotionally. Those challenging years from age 12 to, they go up to 20, but he said the average, the typically it's 18 is the max usually, but it's usually between 12 and 18. But for him, and unique to him in his role, is in addition to working with the youth, he also spends time with counseling individuals who are struggling with drug and alcohol addiction, and that includes meeting people one-on-one, listening to their experiences, helping them create coping strategies, encouraging them through their recovery journey. He also holds group sessions with recovering addicts. So what he mainly does, he said he mainly does one-on-one, but they do also hold group sessions as well. He does focus mostly with men. He said with him, but he does have option with women as well. But he does that he focuses mostly with men in his particular role. But he also works with families that may be affected by addiction as well, because one of the roles that he told me he was also included in, there was, why I said it wasn't just drugs and alcohol, is because one of the roles that one of the other things with the addiction was also sex addiction. So in with the drugs and alcohol, with sex addiction, with sexual addiction, there is a huge family component to that. As I'm sure we all know. So, and drugs and alcohol do as well, but sex addiction has another component to that as well. So he said that he also meets with the families as well and helps families work through it as well. So while he's working with, again, predominantly men in the counseling side of it, the addiction side of it, he also works with families that are going to be affected by the addiction, helping them connect through the recovery process and the resources that they need, and focusing on guiding them spiritually, the support that they need to help get them through, and encouraging them as they kind of face the road ahead as they kind of go through it. So one of the questions I asked him was what he found fulfilling about the addiction recovery part. I mean, the teen side, I kind of stayed away from the teen side of it because I really wanted to focus on the addiction side of it. And I asked him, what did he find fulfilling? And one of the things that he shared with me, they found most fulfilling, it was seeing the experiences of the people that he works with on a daily basis, them change their lives. Coming in from broken, and it's some of them not Christian, some of them just beaten down by life's struggles. They're struggling with a lot of the issues that we all know that come with being a user of whatever it is, or addicted to whatever that is. And with that comes with the not only the addiction, but broken relationships, obviously financial issues typically arise, a broken relationship with God. All those things are happening. So what he said, one of the most fulfilling thing is be able to walk alongside them during that journey, and seeing the struggles at the beginning, and seeing them struggle through the process, but then watching them slowly start to make healthy choices and start to slowly make the right choices. He explained that helping someone overcome addiction makes a lasting impression on him. It's a life-changing impression on him. So what he mentioned that is in his work, it's so meaningful because it allows him to kind of support people during one of the most difficult times of their lives. I mean, some of these people are often alone. I know they have family, but they're often alone. They're isolated. They're even if they have family, they're oftentimes embarrassed to talk to their family, or ashamed to talk to their family. So what he's saying is simply having him to talk to is a resource. So he was telling him that it is one of the most fulfilling things to be able to see them as they come in and start to open up and start to see that walk down in the brokenness start to get healed, and seeing the work that God can do for them as they go through that journey. And that idea is reflected as he shared with me is in Galatians 6:2, which says, carry each other's burdens, and in this way you will fulfill the life of Christ, or excuse me, the law of Christ. The law of Christ. So as he explained this to me, this is by helping people carry their burdens. He's kind of helping them carry the burdens, especially dealing with addiction and the personal struggles that come with it. That's a central part of his calling. And seeing people find hope, and you can see that flip of that switch, and then the spiritual growth comes in is a really fulfilling part. So then, of course, we talked about the kind of flip to that, which was the challenges. We talked about the challenges that were faced with working in the ministry and the counseling together, especially when it comes to helping somebody that that's struggling with addiction. He said one of the biggest challenges is that recovery is a journey, is a long process. He told me it's not just like that. It's a journey, and there are bumps, and there are pitfalls. There are stumbles. There are challenges that you face, that you have to be able to understand that. And not only the person has to be able to understand that, but the person walking them through that has to understand that as well, because you see them make these good changes, and then all of a sudden they'll make a change, a decision that is questionable, and you have to have the patience, the understanding, and the trust with God and in relationship to be able to understand that it is a journey. And so it's one of those things that you have to be able to trust the process with it. And he said that is a challenging step that only comes with time. And then he kind of shared with me another challenge as the emotional weight that he wasn't expecting at first that comes with hearing people's struggles. You want to help, and it's just as uplifting as helping people is, and being able to help them walk through that door. He could really feel from him the weight of the struggles that he hears, and the lives that have been damaged by Satan, and the struggles that sin can have on people, in the trauma that it affects lives. And some of these people he knows personally, and that sort of dynamic can be very, very challenging to you as a person, because you want to help them. So you have to understand, as he told me, that it's a challenge, it's a journey. You can't change just the way. They're going to stumble, they're going to fall, and then you hear some of these very dramatic, life-changing or life-altering stories that can very weigh on your heart. And he kind of explained to me that faith plays such an important role in helping him handle these challenges. Verse that he also wrote, that he also mentioned, was also in Galatians 6:9, which says, "Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." And I kind of wrote that down because it's such a powerful line, or powerful verse, that he's doing good work, but it's challenging, and you could feel it, and he has to kind of tell himself and remind himself that this is good work, and you cannot allow yourself to be weary, and allow God to come in and wash that away, and allow him to not allow you to give up. So we talked about some personal growth for him, and I asked about his continued personal growth, and he explained to me that it's important to keep learning, keep challenging, keep developing, just to continue to do better. Now what he does, he continues to grow every day by reading books that are related to counseling and coaching, specifically with addiction and recovery. But he also participates in ministry training, because he does have a degree in ministry studies, but he also participates in ministry training. But also, in addition to just reading and specifically in the addiction recovery field, he also learns from other leaders he goes to conferences and things like that. He said that kind of really help him with this particular part, because he feels like he has a pretty good grasp on the youth side of it, although he can always learn there. But this part is really the one that he really feels he needs to continue to work really hard at. He also mentioned staying connected to other church leaders, other counselors, other members that are doing the similar type of work, to get their perspectives on how they handle certain situations, learning different approaches, learning different ways of how they may handle addiction and recovery. Of course, keeping confidentiality, he was very clear to say there, but understanding and learning different approaches and how different ways of handling struggles in addiction, but also how to handle your own personal struggles within that, the counseling session, because you have your own burdens you're carrying as well, he said. And he had to understand, and reaches out to people in his area, in his field, to understand that as well. And he said it's extremely important to keep that line open of communication with people around you. So I asked him what sort of advice he would have for me. just knowing that I'm kind of getting into it, and I didn't share my personal journey because I have a journey myself, but just wanted to advice. He shared some advice for students that are interested in pursuing a career similar to counseling, ministry, or just kind of helping in the profession. And the biggest thing he said, he encouraged on really developing on qualities such as empathy, patience was a big one, was patience, a strong listening skills, listening and how to listen, and then kind of listen back, active listening. He put me on was empathy. The three biggest things I put down here were empathy, patience, and active listening is what I put down. Were the three big things that he had mentioned. And he'd recommend gaining experience through volunteering, internships, participating in churches, ministries, things of that nature. Really getting the practical experience with the one-on-one with people, and getting comfortable with doing that, and then building relationships within the field, whether it be with mentors or learning from other professionals like him, things of that nature. So lastly, just kind of a little reflection. First of all, I got to apologize for it being this late. It took us a little bit to kind of connect my schedule with his schedule. It was really important to me to get this particular interview. There was other people I could have probably have done, but I really wanted a Christian perspective. I really wanted this because this is kind of where I can see myself going. It's definitely addiction and recovery, and this definitely is where I wanted to go. So I kind of wanted to, this was really important to me to get this one. So it took me a little bit to kind of get the schedule going, but through this assignment, it was very important that I saw this. So I learned that working requires not more of you, but a lot of you than I kind of maybe understood at the beginning. Not just like empathy and compassion and patience, but your own personal growth and connection with God is a big one, because you are going to have a faith in God to give you the strength, not to be able to not just to be able to provide the right resources to the person you're talking to, but also have the patience and the ability to hear those stories and not take it home with you to the point where it's weighing you down. That was a big thing for me. That really stood out. Another thing that stood out to me was how important, patience and consistency are when you help people overcoming addiction. I mean, I always knew that addiction was a process, and that you kind of hammer that in. I mean, I've been taking these classes for a few years now, and that's hammered in. But he really kind of made it a point of emphasis to understand that. And when you're talking with somebody that's going through it, you're talking about, it's not just a process, but it's they stumble, and you have to be okay. And you not only just be okay with that, but you have to be able to encourage them through that. And that's a very, very big piece of the puzzle. And then kind of lastly, just your communication skills and be able to be comfortable communicating and kind of going back and forth. So overall, this was an amazing experience for me. To be able to kind of get a one-on-one with somebody that's doing it, and having that communication with somebody really kind of allowed me to understand what I want to do, and it kind of gives me a further affirmation of what I want to do. I've got a few ideas, but it gave me some things that I can kind of write down, and maybe even a resource to use further. But it definitely gives me a deeper appreciation of what they do, the patients, the struggles that the therapist or the counselor also works with, in addition to the person that they're sitting across. So and how serious it is of a profession. So but it has been my pleasure. So I thank you so much for taking a few minutes. I know I went over time here, but I appreciate you taking the time to listen to my few minutes I had to sit down with them. Hopefully I was able to express at least some of what we spoke to today, and just how important that conversation was with him. So as always, God bless, and have a great day.